Los Angeles, I'm and most Hollywood nights. She goes to California, oh, California.
What you say about Los Angeles?
LA got the people saying,
You're listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Welcome to Corner of the Galaxy, the show that talks 100% LA Galaxy soccer. We're glad you could join us. Now it's time to sit back and relax as your hosts navigate through the twisting, turning, but never boring world of the five-time MLS Cup champion, LA Galaxy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. I'm your host, Josh Guesman, coming to you on a Thursday, December 28th. The last show of 2023 is about to begin. Are you ready? Are you ready for 2024? It's been grabbing us. It's been pulling us by the throat forward into this new year, and we're finally going to turn that page. We're finally going to get to the next calendar page of 2024. Galaxy had some MLS draft stuff. We have some schedule stuff. There's rumor stuff. There's other stuff, all right? Lots of things to talk about, lots of things to do. We're glad you could join us. To help us in all of our endeavors, we're glad to have him back, and it's actually a Thursday show for the first time like forever. It's Eric, the Portuguese Hammer, Vieira. Welcome back, sir.
We're back. We did it. We're all the way back.
We did it, Joe.
We did it, Joe. The season's behind us. We're ready to look at 2024. We can officially start saying that. I was looking at my notes. I think it's been since October since I was last on. So that's way too long without being on a show. But, you know, I'm in my festive apparel. It's still technically the holidays, right? We're in that dead zone, that no man's land.
Don't say that too loud around my house right now. We are in deconstruction mode. My wife has decided my son, one, has too many toys, two, as a result of her buying him too many toys, and that we don't have the room, the space, the space necessary to live as a family. And so the tree has come down. We are stripping the walls of anything Christmas. I mean, I got a really good gift from my sister that's totally specific to the Guesman family because we're all obsessed. Okay. Did you ever see the Hallmark Star little angels where you press the button and there's four little ones and they sing a little song, but like they're individual. So if you just had one, it would work. Right, but if you get all four of them, they sing as a choir, right? So anyway, these things
I'm not familiar, but I remember the Hallmark store being a thing. And
right,
yeah.
Right. Black market sales of these angels, like $300, $500. They sold for like $15 a piece at the time, right? So my sister somehow figured out how to get me a set. So I'm now arguing with my wife saying, don't take those down. I just got them. Let's leave them up for a little bit. I think I'm going to lose that battle, just letting you know. And my mother-in-law is coming in town, which is another reason I'm sure everything is happening.
Fun times.
Yeah.
But the good news is you're going to have to get to some point where you just learn to accept just the toys everywhere, which I'm sure you're used to. You've been through this before.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I feel like my son has every wrestler that's ever existed now, you know, since this is the year we got into wrestling, and then my daughter with her slime. So that's not a good combo of things to have either, because you're stepping on fingers and heads and getting sticky stuff on the counter, so not a good time. But
it sounds less like a children's time and more like adult time. More and more you talk about it.
I was going to say, speaking of grabbing us by the throat and taking us into the season, let's get into the Galaxy talk.
Galaxy After Dark. Here we go. COG After Dark. We're in. We do have some news, and the thing is, things are happening, right? We are starting to see the rumors sort of pop up. We expected this week to be a little slow. It has been not slow, which is interesting in itself. I know people are like, what? There's people in my timelines on Twitter and on Instagram and in the Discord. Why haven't they signed anybody yet? Why haven't they made that? I was like, whoa, chill out, calm down. We are just starting where we actually got real rumors. We now have I think I have 2 real rumors, actually, no, 3 real rumors that we're actually tracking and that we're paying attention to. There's some that have popped up that we will talk about a little bit more. But the Galaxy released the schedule. Before we get to the schedule, just talking about the release itself with the video and everything that went. I personally, because I enjoy fun, I enjoyed the video, and I thought it was a lot of the. I know lots of people have different things. I thought it was great, and I laughed, and there were that nice little like Easter eggs, and each of them when you paid it. You could watch that video 3 or 4 times and find something different in it. I think every little time. So I was a fan.
It was a fun time. I think that's what it is when these schedules come out. A lot of different clubs have kind of, different ways of doing it. I think the NFL is probably the king of this on schedule release day. They have different themes and they go different directions. So I kind of like that it was, the holiday theme. We had Will Mistletoe in the building, kind of making all those things work. I like the subtle digs at LAFC, having the goat at the very beginning. I know that's a bit of controversy, here and there, but
should it really
lean
be
into it? You lean into it. It works.
Okay.
It works for who you're playing and getting to have them at your stadium. So I'm not mad at it. I'm happy the way it worked out. I thought it was a clever video. And shout out to everyone who's getting on your tail for have the Galaxy sign anyone, because I think this is the time. Right after Christmas, that the rumors do start to heat up. So I think they're on schedule. This is happening as it's supposed to be happening, and then once the new year comes around, it'll be fast and furious. But yeah, I enjoyed the video, and I'm very much looking forward to the season. I have a little bit of some breaking news here, obviously.
Hold on, wait. Do I have? I don't know if I have. Hold on, give me 1 second. Let's see. No.
You're really building it up here.
Well, I mean, I would like to Let's see that. No, so you actually have to turn that on, I believe, is how that works. Let's see if I can get that. Okay, let's try that again.
Wow. Breaking news.
I don't think that. Yeah, I don't think that was
it. I like the 80s riff there. The hammer will be in the building for the home opener. Oh, no.
That was bad
not
timing.
The reaction. No.
Wait, hold on.
But thank you. That's the applause we're waiting for. Yeah. So I'm excited. I haven't been to Dignity Health Sports Park in about a year and a half. The kind of schedule lined up with my travel schedule and, being able to land some tickets. So I'm excited. Going to be at the home opener February 25th to kind of be at the COG meetup. It's been way too long since I've been there.
Yeah, I heard that a while over the break, and I very much divorced myself from most of the Galaxy stuff during the break because I like to actually recharge and do things. But I was hearing that some people in the Discord were like, "Man, we got to get the COG like pre-gaming going the whole day." So I'm sure we'll do something. Let's do something. Let's plan something. Why not? So we have that. So that's good. Well, good. I'm glad you also, by the way, just came back from an indoor soccer game. Like you sprinted to this and tell me about that real quick.
That's my mission statement. Support local soccer. It's why I was supporting the Galaxy and MLS in your hometown leagues and not supporting the leagues across overseas. But obviously that's a little bit trickier, in the North Texas area. Having my roots already in Los Angeles, it's harder to support your local teams. But I'm diving into MASL, the Dallas Sidekicks. So I just got back from a Dallas Sidekicks game where they got their rear ends handed to them by the Milwaukee Wave. But indoor soccer, it's exciting. It's a fun time. They got the music pumping. It's high pace, high scoring. Unfortunately, the Dallas team was on the other end of it. So that wasn't very exciting for the home team. But the kids had a good time. The wife had a good time.
That's all.
So support local soccer. Again, I'm shocked that MASL is able to sustain a league and have players and people show up and pay. It's incredible that this is a thing. Yeah.
Oh man, I know. It's one of those things that you sit there and you're like, how does this happen? I was whenever the Anaheim Bolts were in town at the Anaheim Convention Center. I was there and I went to some of those games. Did you ever go to the Anaheim Splash? Yes.
Anaheim Splash.
Had been to the Anaheim Splash.
At the pond.
At the pond, yep, had been there. Then they went the Ontario Fury way, I think, for a little while there as well. So however it is, I can't believe it's still around. All right, let's talk about some LA Galaxy news. Now, we go into, and let's take this in sort of chronological order, we go into MLS SuperDraft, right? And how super is it? Just extra super. The fact was that only the first round was going to be broadcasts on MLS Live, right? No,
so long lead-in, apparently, yeah.
Yeah, apparently, I'm sure there was a long lead-in. And then the Galaxy didn't have a first-round pick, so that wasn't real. So I didn't watch. I don't know that anybody watched. And if you watched, you're a better person than me. We did know the LA Galaxy had 2 second rounds, a third round in there, and so we were sort of, okay, there's still 3 picks to come in. Well, before everything really got kicked off and rolling, the LA Galaxy traded their first, I think their natural second-round pick to Atlanta, and in return, they got the rights to Miguel Berry, right? And
we're back, baby. We're so back.
And people are like, what? What is, I mean, listen, for all that you wanted to see, and all that you wanted to get from a super draft, this is about as good as you were going to get from, might be better than a super draft pick. Here you have a guy who has 11 goals and 3 assists in 75 career regular season matches. By the way, at the end of this, I'm going to tell you why none of that really means anything. But let's pretend for a second that we're excited. 3 assists in 75 regular season matches played. He has 40 starts across 4 MLS seasons with the Columbus Crew, DC United, Atlanta United. The forward logged 1 goal and 1 assist in 27 appearances, 10 starts for Atlanta during the 2023 regular season. And in his rookie season with Columbus, Berry logged 8 goals and 2 assists. That was sort of the one where everybody's like, oh, wait, no, maybe this guy is something, but really hasn't regained that form since, right? So in that rookie season, 8 goals and 2 assists. We can sort of look at some of those stats as well. More minutes basically than he played at any other place, including Columbus, where he scored the 8 goals and 2 assists. In Atlanta, 1,028 minutes, 1 goal, 1 assist, right? So this is a guy, listen, what you're getting is a guy who has bounced around to multiple different teams, who hasn't been able to really find a home, but he has maybe all of the trappings of somebody who could be successful in Major League Soccer. Maybe it's a system problem. Maybe it's a motivation problem. If you look at his birthplace, Barcelona, Spain, don't think that wasn't sort of taken into consideration whenever you have somebody like Ricky Puig on the team, that type of thing. Think 6'3", 180. Don't think that his height, something the Galaxy have not had a bunch of outside of defenders, don't think that wasn't taken into consideration. I'll tell you this. The Galaxy are now a team that goes out and scouts by what they're looking for. And so what they're looking for, they must have found something in Miguel Berry that said, let's take a flyer on him. Let's go ahead and test this out. Let's go ahead and see what we can do with this. And what we're going to, ultimately, I don't think it's going to cost them a whole bunch of money. But here's the other thing. Berry in at $135,000 last year. Now, if you read the press release that says trade for the rights to Miguel Berry, they were very clear about that. Now, ultimately, what that means is he's probably not eligible for free agency. And so basically his contract may have been up. And so in order to get the player and be able to sign him, the LA Galaxy had to go out and get his rights. The Galaxy with their welcome Berry sort of thing certainly seemed like they're going to get to acquiring him. It wasn't like, hey, maybe not, but it seems like possibly.
Yeah, you don't make that post without the hint that it's most likely going to happen. I see it in the chat already that it's not the most sexy move in the world, not the most exciting thing.
It's not supposed to be.
And the one piece is those of us who liked Preston Judd and what he could bring and those flashes of what we could, what he possibly could be, seeing him shipped away to San Jose was a little bit of a bummer. But then you see someone like Berry come in. To me, I feel like that's a very similar 1-for-1, comp, only Berry has more goals given his history. Obviously 1 goal, 1 assist with his time with Atlanta. Not great, but probably similar to what Judd brought you. So I think it's almost kind of like a reverse to your point to what the Galaxy are scouting. It's not bringing in a guy who has already produced, who's already over the hill and has already produced all that he can, and you're getting him on the back end. You're getting on someone who has potential, has shown flashes, and maybe you can turn him into something that's going to be successful. That's kind of the positive spin on it. Now, I'll say this very similar to what I said with a lot of the signings that kind of came in last season, with them not having the transfer restrictions and not being able to bring in players from overseas, and the type of player that they brought in. Those were not the type of players that you're winning an MLS Cup was going to hinge on that. And I think that's probably why the fan base gets the lukewarm reaction to this, is the Galaxy's 2024 season is not going to hinge on Miguel Berry. He's not going to make or break or make the difference. It's going to be a depth piece, maybe a third striker, depending on where it goes in. So that's why, okay, not very exciting, but also it shouldn't be consequential given other pieces that are going to bring in. If the season starts and Berry is happened last season, you have Chicharito injured and Douglas Costa injured, and you have Preston Judd starting your first couple games, then that's an issue. If Berry is starting, your games at the beginning of the season, that's a concern. But it looks like, at least Joveljic is in front of him in that depth chart. It doesn't look like he's going to be the guy that you need to rely on. So you can't be too upset about it.
I mean, if you're spending more than, how much time have we spent on this right now? Like 5 minutes? If you spend more than 5 minutes on this, it's too much.
This is his time to shine. December, 2023 is going to be this is the most discussion that we're going to have about Miguel Berry for about next season.
Now we get into that literally turning the page. I don't think it deserves more than that. We will see and watch progression through this preseason to see if it warrants more talk, right? Very simply. Also like supplemental roster guy, probably not one of your senior roster guys. So you're not really even, his money doesn't even count against the salary cap, right? Those types of things. So here you go. Ethan Brandt was the LA Galaxy second round pick after they went and got Berry. 46th overall pick from Western Michigan University. He's a goalkeeper. Brandt is a native of Torrance, California, joins the Galaxy after posting 10 shutouts and 73 saves in 25 career matches played from Western Michigan University, 2021 to 23. During the 23 campaign, his first season as a full-time starter, Brandt recorded 10 shutouts, 73 saves, and held an 18-1-4 record as he helped lead the Broncos to the round of 16 of the 2023 NCAA tournament. Additionally, Brandt was named the 2023 Missouri Valley Conference Goalkeeper of the Year and earned first-team All-MVC honors. So Ethan Brandt, goalkeeper, 6'3", 185, born in Torrance, California, went to Western Michigan University. He's staying home, right? That's one of those, hey, I'm coming home. I'm going to stay close to everything. I say that because I think the LA Galaxy were smart in their picks, knowing that for most draft picks, this is the highlight right here, is us talking, not specifically us, but people talking. It's like, I wanted to be on corner of the Galaxy.
Is getting the draft, drafted by the LA Galaxy.
Yeah, getting drafted by the LA Galaxy. Yeah. This is their highlight, right? But you have a guy who is very much, I am from Torrance. I'm from where they play. And whenever I don't make the team, I will have plenty of places that I'm already home, right? It's one of those. I hate to say that, but that's the expected sort of rendition. I think it's going to be difficult for him. Although, as a third goalkeeper right now, not a horrible position to be in, actually. The Galaxy going 6'3", 185, tall guy. You got Bond, you got Mitrovic, right? And now you're going to have Brandt. Brandt very well could be the third goalkeeper, but it doesn't mean you get a lot of starts, but it could be a senior team roster spot, right? So you're on this on that 30-man roster. So
I believe you mentioned it when the Panda was on last time. Just as the years have gone by, it seems like the MLS SuperDraft picks have become less and less consequential. I remember last year they drafted a goalkeeper as well, never to be seen from again. So I think that's, to your point, this is the extent of what we're going to be talking about. Not heavy discussion on third goalkeepers, for the season.
So remember, I told you location might mean something. Well, let's get to the LA Galaxy's third round draft pick, Tucker Lepley. Lepley is a midfielder, 5'6", 135 pounds. Place of birth, Charlotte, North Carolina. And you're saying that's not LA. College, UCLA.
There it is.
So there it is. Lepley, 21, was selected by LA after recording 11 goals and 10 assists in 45 games played, 41 starts across a 3-year career at UCLA, 2021 to 23. During the 2023 campaign, Lepley earned first-team All-Pac-12 honors after logging 3 goals and 2 assists in 18 matches played and guiding UCLA to its first Pac-12 title since 2012. In his redshirt freshman season in 2021, the Charlotte, North Carolina native was named the Bruins team MVP after notching 5 goals and 7 assists in 19 matches played, 19 starts. Additionally, Lepley was part of the Sporting Kansas City Academy, making 10 appearances, 5 starts for Swope Park Rangers during the 2019 USL Championship regular season. There's a lot of as much as we pretend that college is, stands alone sort of as itself, there's a lot of academy guys now going to college and then coming back and going into MLS. So in many ways, we thought maybe college would get in the way. And for some guys, I think it does. But there's also other ways, right? And so you can go to the academy, get your time, really do the whole academy experience, go to college, get your 4-year, come out, and you can get drafted by an MLS team. You already know what being a professional is like, having played on some of those academy teams for the most part, right? And playing in college is a pretty high level too. So
it's a pathway. It's a pathway that, it's not your traditional pathway, but I think you even see, and I didn't dig, apologies for not digging deep into SuperDraft, picks for other teams. But I do know that there are also academies in Europe as well that, if a guy's not going to make the first team or the reserve squad, they'll come play college ball in the United States because there's an infrastructure, there's a system for them to, get some type of action, some type of development. And so, it provides that pathway to your point where you have, an academy player, maybe they're not going to be called up. They're not your Jalen Neal. They're not your Julian Araujo. So let's go to college. Let's get some accolades, get some more reps, go to school. It's definitely a pathway that exists. That's kind of a nice opportunity for these youngsters. But in terms of what he brings, I'm going to trust Christian Miles, who spoke highly of him. He's the one who called some Pac-12 games.
Right.
You know, I believe he reposted one of his golazos that he scored. So again, that's exciting. I see kind of a Gino Vivi type guy. Maybe he gets some minutes. Maybe he doesn't, come in for Leagues Cup and things like that. Well, we'll see how this pans out. So again, nothing too exciting, but again, it is what it is.
So that is now, I mean, if you're looking, listen, we don't put draft picks onto the official roster until they sign, right? Because there's no point in doing that, so we won't do that. But somebody we did put on the roster, which was a day or two after the draft here, in fact, it could have been the day after, now that I remember, is the LA Galaxy signed left back John Nelson, right? So John Nelson coming out of St. Louis, and he's played at a bunch of other places as well. Basically, they assigned the free agent defender to a 2-year contract through the end of the 2025 MLS season with a club option for 2026. So this is locked in and loaded. If we go and look at his salary last year, $168,000. So not a huge buy. He may have actually gotten a little bit of a raise just because things sort of usually escalate a little bit, especially if you're getting a new contract. But I wouldn't expect it to have doubled or tripled or anything like that. But here's a guy who seems like no, wrong one. Sorry. Here's a guy who seems like he's played with a bunch of different clubs. As a matter of fact, if you look at him playing with FC Dallas from 2019 to 2021, FC Cincinnati in 2022, St. Louis in 2023. Last season, Nelson recorded 1 assist and logged a career high 1,268 minutes of action in 17 league appearances, 14 starts with St. Louis, helping the expansion side finish with the best regular season record in the Western Conference. I like the pedigree that's in that. Will Kuntz said John is an established defender with strong MLS experience for his age. He will add depth and a veteran presence to our backline, and we look forward to bringing him into our group. He said depth because Aude is, I imagine, the starter. I know there's people who want to argue about that. My only issue with Aude last year, more or less, was his just durability and conditioning, which was, he's got to be a little smarter about when he runs, how he runs, and everything else, because he needs to be able to have gas to last 90 minutes. That being said, with the Galaxy's outside backs, you're asking people to run up and run back a lot. You're talking about the most sub positions probably for the LA Galaxy. You're going to have your outside midfielders.
You really need 2 players per game.
Yeah, exactly. Your outside midfielders are going to get subbed, and your outside backs could get subbed, right? They're the ones that are sort of in that. So having somebody like John Nelson in there, is fine. Again, remember you got rid of Raheem Edwards, right? So you moved him. Now he comes back in and sort of plays a backup role to Aude in this, and at a much better price. So this is about creating cap space, but also creating depth, right? Nothing super exciting to say about John Nelson. I think he's a decent left back. Again, we're filling out depth right now. We're not necessarily filling out the starters. Everybody wants the sexy DP signings. Mm-hmm. You're instead going to get the backup left back signing, right? And the bottom line is, the LA Galaxy don't have a starting right back right now, and really need a backup right back as well when you're really starting to lay the cards out on the table. So there's lots of positions that are the unsexy positions that are going to have to get filled here. If we go over to the LA Galaxy roster right now, I have 21 signed, so still 9 spots left. The 2 designated player spots are in that as well, right?
Yeah. Some big ticket items still to be squeezed in there. That's the kicker.
Absolutely. And I'm currently still showing 9 international slots. Remember, you get 8. So the Galaxy already over 1 and likely to sign 2 more whenever they go in for their designated players. And we'll talk about those a little bit as well. But I wouldn't get very excited about Miguel Berry. I don't know that you should get super excited about John Nelson, but if you're looking at the 2, Nelson is the bigger signing between him and Berry, right? Yeah. Nelson is expected to play this year, absolutely, to back up Aude.
I think someone either in the Discord or somewhere along the line called him like a Chase Gaspar comp, where someone you need guys like this on an MLS roster, to backfill and to provide some experience. So this is, again, to your point, not the sexy signing, but you need a lot of guys like this. I call these the Jeff Lorenowitz signings. guys who don't jump off the page or jump off the field, but you need guys like that on an MLS roster. I'm sure we can look at the Columbus roster, the one MLS Cup. Yeah, they have the big names, but they also have those just workhorses that get sprinkled in there. And you need that mix if you're going to have a successful season.
So when you look at it and what the LA Galaxy did over the course of the MLS draft, plus a day or two there, was add 4 players to a roster. They added 2 players for sure, 2 players on the peripheral. We'll see what else sort of ends up coming into there. And then we have rumors to talk about as well, but we're going to get to those after we get to the LA Galaxy schedule. So, I mean, overall, Eric, nothing super exciting. I don't know that anybody should be super excited about any of this.
Not yet.
Yeah, when we look at the roster again, imagine the LA Galaxy have already departed 13 players who played last year and not with the team anymore. So that's a significant amount, and you're looking now to fill 9 spots remaining, right? So that's sort of where the Galaxy are, and now we get to get into the busy time. Listen, we know there are offers out there. We know that possibly offers have been rejected and other things that have sort of come through there. So this is the time when things start to build and we start to get some answers to all of these questions, okay? All right.
And there is time. We're not up against it. No. It's not, this training camp doesn't start next week. Like, there's still enough time to where you're seeing the reports, bids getting rejected. This is the negotiations that are happening out in the public. And then I'm sure there's the stuff happening behind the scenes that, we will get there. So I would not think that this is the roster that the Galaxy, they're not set going into the season. There's still a lot of work to be done, and it's coming.
All right, now we get to the MLS MLS schedule release and the LA Galaxy schedule release. A lot of fun there. Paying attention to people who were retweeting and showing stuff that only had 33 games. I enjoyed that part of it for a while there. Everybody was like, here's the full schedule. I'm like, but you're missing, you don't, that there's 34, right? I mean, you can figure out who the 34th is, but there's 34, right?
Yeah, there was something missing in there. It was kind of funny when you saw that get leaked. Everyone jumped all over it, which there's the race to be first and these type of things. So it's just kind of funny how that worked out. But I was saying, wait a minute, the Western Conference, you're supposed to play each team twice. Something wasn't adding up with the teams that were listed on there.
One of these things doesn't belong. Well, everybody, I think, got their wish for the most part. I think that there was hints that Inter Miami would be the LA Galaxy's opening game. Now, there was some thoughts maybe you would play that at the Rose Bowl. The Galaxy instead said, nope, we're going Dignity Health Sports Park. And when you look at the marketing that's going around it and the fact that basically you could buy tickets if you were a season ticket member in this pre-sale area for every game except for the 25th, the very first game, Sunday, February 25th against Inter Miami, when Messi and friends come. And by the way, friends got bigger by 1 after this announcement too. So, that's going to be a big deal. Bottom line is, when you look at that game and what the Galaxy now do, they get to sell packages to that game.
That's
right?
the kicker.
That's the kicker. And so they're gonna pump that. I did reach out at one point to ask the LA Galaxy sort of how ticket sales were going, because it certainly seemed like there was a frenzy going on and for people trying to get stuff and people being angry they weren't. All sorts of fun stuff. So there was some interesting things. And by the way, there were some not so great things, especially whenever you saw the reports that that people who wanted to get season tickets in LA Riot Squad were being directed away from that. And I hope that all got figured out and solved, and that's not a thing, because that's not the kind of front office that you want to have doing stuff to supporters, right? Like you want, let's play fair, above board. Let's do it right.
That was unfortunate to see, and it's a symptom of the boycott that happened last season. You had a lot of people canceling season ticket memberships who were season ticket members for how long, so then you need to jump to the back of the queue, and so that creates some issues. Then depending on how they canceled, being not allowed to get on payment plans, so there's issues happening with that. So just it was a little bit murky to the Galaxy's own detriment. They created their own bit of a monster with the situation from last season, but it seems like they're moving in the right direction.
I feel like it got ironed out, because I hear less about it now, but I don't know that that's 100% true, but I feel like it got ironed out.
I feel like, they went in the direction of making things right. It feels like. The one thing that I will say is there is a sect of fans that they like to complain about everything. So it was just kind of funny. Probably a month ago, 2 months ago, they were saying, get your season tickets. They're selling out. They're running out. And, we can make fun of the Galaxy for their positioning and their performance and coaching, all these things, but it's still a hot ticket. It's still a popular item. And, getting in and getting those season ticket memberships was valuable. And so if you were reading kind of the tea leaves on, who was going to be traveling, whether it was the Rose Bowl or Dignity Health Sports Park. You kind of knew that Miami was probably going to be one of those games who were on the list. So you would have been smart to get your season ticket memberships in prior to the schedule release, because it was basically going to be a frenzy after that. With the introduction of LAFC, we saw this. I experienced this as a season ticket member at the time, where you couldn't buy individual tickets. You needed to get, a 3-game package. So I was just talking with my brother off to the side saying, if they're going to, work with this Inter Miami deal, it's going to be at least a 5-game package. And then lo and behold, what they were doing, the minimum was a 6-game package. So good on them. You get repeat customers who are going to be coming back. Hopefully those who, maybe those who bought the tickets just for the Messi effect and to spend all that, maybe you'll be able to get some cheap resale on those other games, and that may benefit everyone else. But you may also get some return customers who, become fans after that. So I thought it was a smart move to make it a part of a package. Did, stings a little bit if you weren't, intending on getting 6 games for this season. But, I kind of like that, hey, we're going to get you to commit. If you're going to be a Galaxy fan, you're not going to buy one game. We're going to get you to come to multiple games. So I understand the strategy behind it. So you can make fun of the Galaxy for a lot of reasons, but in terms of how they rolled this out and kind of the success of getting season ticket members and then getting people to get through the turnstiles, because that is something that as the season went on, we did see, a pretty steep decline. I think that they're kind of, at least at the beginning, it looks like signs are pointing that they're going to be able to fill the stadium for a good chunk. And part of that is because of the way they're setting up these packages.
Yeah, the other part of it would be maybe they should try winning. I think winning will help them too. So
I think that will solve a lot. Yeah.
So start off with Inter Miami at home, Dignity Health Sports Park. That game 5:30 on Sunday, February 25th. Now, interesting enough, Miami actually opens their season up on that Wednesday before this. So they go Wednesday, Sunday, and they have to travel all the way across. I mean, it's a gift.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's a gift for the LA Galaxy, because knowing it's a gift. Listen, it could go one of two ways. One is that's going to be a very new, untested team. They're going to have a lot of people in there to try to figure out how to play. I imagine they're pretty hyped up for their home game. Maybe they figure some stuff out and they have one game under their belt before Dignity Health Sports Park. They crammed 30,000 people into that. Remember AC Milan? Whenever AC Milan came to play, and Tom Cruise was there, and all sorts of crazy celebrities, and they set up like these suites on the grass berm and all that stuff. I imagine that'll be similar to what they're gonna have for Messi.
Yeah.
So
expect LeBron in the building.
Yeah. Don't look at 27,000 as a number. Look at more like closer to 30,000. Okay, whenever there'll be temporary seats up everywhere they can find them in order to pack this game. So that game will be there. By the way, they put out a little poster of it. I thought it was pretty funny. But they put out with like Messi and Jordi Alba and Sergio Busquets, and then right after this they added Luis Suarez as well. So it was like, oh, okay, there's 4 now, and it's like, okay, why not? Why not? So that should be a pretty interesting game there. The Galaxy then go away to San Jose at Yeah, go ahead.
One thing I will add with that Inter Miami game that I don't think you mentioned is their world tour that they're also going on in the preseason.
That's right.
They're going to Argentina. They're going to Saudi Arabia. They're going to be well seasoned and well traveled. And I think even though it's the home opener or the MLS season opener for them, they're going to be fatigued. They're going to have a lot of road trips and in behind them. So I think you could catch, oddly enough, a fatigued Inter Miami team for your first game of the season.
Absolutely. I mean, conditioning might not be there. They have to travel all the way across the country. They, like as you talked about, world tour. They're starting the midweek before this. It's not a kind schedule to them, I don't think. So that game will be there. Then the Galaxy go away to San Jose. Difficult game. Actually, it's hysterical. If you look at the first 9 games, Eric, the easiest game might be away at San Jose. Which is never an easy game, right? Yeah, but at PayPal Park and not at Stanford, so that's an interesting one. That's a little friendlier confines for the LA Galaxy than the Stanford Stadium has been. Then away to Nashville, difficult game, right? Nashville, by the way, 7th place finisher in the East, right? Was in the MLS Cup playoffs, all that sort of fun. By the way, San Jose was technically at the 9th, was in the MLS Cup playoffs. They lost to Sporting Kansas City in that first game, right? So Nashville. Then the LA Galaxy will host St. Louis City. Oh wait, aren't they the Supporter Shield winners from last? Were they not? No, sorry, they were Western Conference
Yeah,
winners.
Western Conference.
Yeah, but Supporter
champions,
Shield was FC Cincinnati, right? So, but St. Louis City, so they were the number 1 seed who ended up getting upset in that first round, right? That type of thing. So St. Louis City was in there. The Galaxy go away to Sporting Kansas City. Oh, Sporting Kansas City 8th in the West and a Western Conference semifinalist in the playoff. Oh, okay, cool. Then home to the Seattle Sounders. Oh, Seattle Sounders 2nd in the West and Western Conference semifinalist in the playoffs. Oh, that's cool. Away to
always a tough game anyway.
Yeah, always a tough game. You're right. Then away to LAFC at BMO Stadium. Oh, you mean the 3rd in the West MLS Cup finalist, LAFC? Vancouver Whitecaps is sort of, okay, maybe that feels a little bit better, right? And then in San Jose.
But not given their history with the Whitecaps and, the struggles that they've had,
at BC
going
Place.
Away at BC Place. And,
Yep.
a Mavinga concussion reminder is something that we wish we had a concussion and forgot that game as well. But,
Right.
if that's the game you're looking forward to, we are going to see what this Galaxy team is made of in these first 10 games.
And remember, we also fall into this trapping, Eric, which is the Galaxy have sucked for a very long time, and so when you suck, your schedule is harder because other teams are better than you, right? So if you're better, your schedule is easier. So you are sort of falling into some of this. I mean, should you really be fearing San Jose, which is very much a mid-table Western Conference team? You shouldn't, except it's a rivalry game, right? Should you be worried about Vancouver Whitecaps? Well, technically speaking, you shouldn't, but you need to because you haven't been that good, right?
Yeah.
So you go through all this stuff. I mean, Game 10 is at Austin. And you're sort of sitting there going, okay, well, that one, maybe that's the first one where they can breathe a little bit. Yeah. So,
but once they sign Chicharito, that's going to have a whole nother, layer of narrative to it. But the other thing that I will say, and I think you're bringing the optimism, which is nice. Nashville is also further removed from the expansion and kind of having, their stars. It feels like they're maybe on the tail end or maybe more on the downhill trend. St. Louis City, maybe that was a little bit fluky how they started the season. Maybe they have a little bit of a sophomore slump and they don't really, have it like they did. So to your point, maybe it looks tough on paper given the standings from last season,
right? But
we're not going to know until they play these games. Maybe these are winnable games, and depending on who the Galaxy bring in, it's maybe the schedule isn't going to be that bad, than when we stare at it in December.
Well, I mean, the other part about it is that a lot of these things look good on paper, right? Like like Miami basically won MLS Cup on paper, right? I mean, we all agree that's like, oh, well, I mean, what else? These things, look what happened last year when Messi came on. Messi came on, they played great, they ended up winning some League Cup games. Messi got injured, they didn't do much again, right? Like there was some time there. There were some things that they need adjustment. Now, do I expect that it'll be different when you have them for the whole year? Yeah, I do. But again, if injuries start to mount up, we can talk about injuries, right? Like whenever the Galaxy had 12 players injured, and you're like, there's nobody left. Like, what do you want to do, right?
And Messi in his shortened time had injury issues. Suarez is not, a spring chicken. Busquets and Jordi Alba, yes, all great on paper, but when you have to play a 34-game season and
plus a
travel,
world tour.
The travel of the United States and then the world tour that they're doing, I would not expect all of those players to play all 34 games. So that's where Miami's going to be right from the picking in the midseason. Maybe not that opening game,
right?
But that's going to be tricky for them to pull it off. But when you have that guy on the field, then on Messi, I think anything is possible.
Do you want to talk about short rest games and
yes,
take a look at them? All right.
The Wednesdays. Let's talk about the Wednesday games.
So in total, 13 games on short rest for the LA Galaxy this year. I tried to go back and find my schedule from last year and sort of try to figure out short rest. And it's harder to do whenever they don't just have regular season and whenever they move things around. So we'll just say 13 games on short rest. Now, what does that actually mean? Is that, yes, you're playing 2 games on short rest, but there is a game that leads into that is technically not on short rest, right? And because it's not on short rest, you tend to not count it, but I can count another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games outside of the 13. So 20 of the 34 are in basically a short rest zone, right? So you can sort of see it around it. Here we can, and here's my example for you. Games 12, 13, and 14, right, are Real Salt Lake, home to Real Salt Lake, away to Minnesota on a Wednesday. So a Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday. Okay, those are short rest games. Well, that first game against Real Salt Lake is not a short rest game because you played, on Sunday the week before, right?
Kind of a short rest. It's a Sunday, not a Saturday.
Yeah, but listen, anytime you get 5 days, I don't call it short rest, all right? There's like 5 days. If you can get 5 days, it's pretty much a normal week, okay?
Yeah, I'm picking at it. Yeah.
Absolutely. But you are right. I mean, you can shorten it down, right? The whole deal. But basically that 12th game is not technically a short rest game, but you are already thinking about the short rest that you're going to get on Wednesday and Saturday. So when you go through it, games 12, 13, 14 are short rest. Games 15, 16, 17 are short rest. Games 18, 19, 20 are short rest. Games 21, 22, 23 are short rest. Games 24, 25, 26 are short rest. 29, 30, and 31 are short rest. And 32 and 33 are short rest. You can count from game 12 to game 29, 26. So there's like one game between 26, 27, 28 that aren't short rest. So basically, you're going to be short rest starting in May, and then you go until the rest of the season. There's some breaks in there. And
I was going to say, in July, you have the Leagues Cup pause.
Oh, isn't that nice? You get to play more games, right?
July 20th to August 24th. Yeah, well, not if you're, depending on how the Galaxy, but they might get their 3 games.
Play 2.
Yeah. They're 2 games, that's right.
You never know.
The one thing that I always find interesting is the opponents that they have on these Wednesday games. And it's always tricky because it seems like, with no disrespect, the opponents on their weekday games seem to be inferior. And that could be for the TV deal and not wanting to have these games on your weekend as a marquee matchup. You want to save those good matchups for the weekend. So, your Wednesday, away at Minnesota, you have a Wednesday home at FC Dallas, Wednesday home at versus New York City. So it just seems like these are not your, big
matchups.
Big matches. Mm-hmm. And not that that's a bad thing, but it's also, those may be the games where you want the home atmosphere and the home cooking to really kind of play in your favor. And so that's kind of the bummer, is where maybe these are games where you can take 3 points, but because it's a Wednesday and because it's away, maybe it makes it harder than it would be if this was something that was a little bit different. So that's just always something that I find kind of interesting how they schedule it. But that's the symptom of being a team that, brings a little bit more ratings than your average MLS team.
I was going to tell you the longest away trip for the LA Galaxy will basically be 2 games, right? So that's settled. Technically speaking, the longest home streak or home stand for the LA Galaxy is 2 games. That being said, there are 3 games in a row at home, but it's interrupted by Leagues Cup. So you can't really say that, they're all going to maybe if they play all their games at Dignity Health Sports Park again, maybe they will all be home games, and the Galaxy will have, 5 in a row during that time and some different things there. But that's sort of what it says. Studying the schedule the way that I have looked at it and breaking it down, I will say that there is an art form to all of this, Eric. I mean, the fact that there aren't any super long road trips, the fact that there aren't any super long home stands, the balance that you sort of see in all this stuff is pretty impressive overall. I mean, I would hate to be the people who do this schedule, because you have to imagine the LA Galaxy give out dates. Like, they have dates that they've already booked Dignity Health Sports Park for. They're like, we can't play on these dates. So sorry, that's good. You can't use those. And by the way, every team does that, right? Every team has dates they can't play on.
Which reminder, we got to make sure to put in for Wingo Tango this summer. We always miss out on it.
We always miss out on it. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but we got to put in
some little 5 sauce coming back again. You think maybe for Wango Tango?
I think they'll come for the turnaround.
I hope so. I'm ready to rock. But I mean, this is it's craziness. And the fact that it got this balanced. And again, when you look at sort of everything that is sitting there, the Western Conference has 14 teams, the Eastern Conference has 15 teams, the Galaxy play LAFC 3 times, right? Now, technically speaking, Galaxy get 2 home games in. By the way, if I was LAFC, I'd be so ticked off about that. I don't even know, like, how is that fair that they get 2 home games again? I would do a whole podcast on what the morons at MLS are doing. As it stands, I think it's not fair, but apparently it's worth enough money that LAFC doesn't care, right?
It's worth enough money to MLS, but yes, you're right. If I'm LAFC brass, that is a bit of a slap in the face that we're not able to do SoFi or the Coliseum, like we were mentioning, to get our end of it. Let's make our 100,000 where we can. So I don't know if there was some deal that was struck where they get a percentage or something out of that. But it does seem a bit unfair. But since we're on the right side of it, we're not going to complain too much.
Right? Yeah.
The other thing that I'll mention, and I'm not sure if you were going to get there, is the start times. A lot of 7:30 start times. There was the question going into last season. We did we were fans of the idea of everything kicking off at the same time, because that way you knew what was going to be happening with the wraparound show. I think as the season went on, I maybe lost a little bit of the love for that. I feel like a little bit, maybe not all the games, but maybe a few games you could have staggered the schedule to kind of, stretch it out and get some more watch time. So it's not just you're in and out in one game session. And obviously you get some of that with different time zones, but that was something where there was the question. I think there was a survey from Apple TV as well about the start times. Do you like the standard start time, or do you want a staggered start time? It looks like they are going to stick with 7:30, wherever the time zone is. 7:30 is going to be the kickoff, with a few exceptions. But
that does
Sunday
stagger.
games, yeah.
That does stagger a little bit. If you do everybody at 7:30,
yeah.
Then they're an hour or 2 hours apart, like that type of thing. As you move across the country, I don't know. I mean, bottom line is, what games do I watch the most of? It's the LA Galaxy. So really, whenever they're on, that's when I'll pay attention, and I try to catch some whenever they're on. But yeah, I mean, I did like having games just on in sort of the middle of the day, and you were like, oh, let me catch this real quick, and I wouldn't watch it intently, but it would be on in the background.
It's background,
yeah. Yeah, you can only watch Friends so many times, That's what I say. So anyway, so that's sort of the schedule. Obviously, the July 4th game at Rose Bowl is back again, right? So that type of thing. So we've talked about that. If you wanted sort of the breakdown by everything, road dates by day of the week, there's 3 on Wednesday and 11 on Saturday and Sunday, the whole deal. They have them all sort of broken down. Eastern Conference opponents at home: Inter Miami, New York City FC, and Atlanta United FC. Eastern Conference opponents away at Nashville, away at Charlotte again, which is, there's so many.
That's also interesting. Yeah,
there's
a bunch of teams we haven't played.
I know.
And this is the third year that we're doing Charlotte. So you would think that they would do some type of scheduling where, okay, we played them home and away, and now it's time to put someone else in the cycle. But that's a job for, I'm sure, someone else much more intelligent than me at MLS HQ.
Yeah, exactly. We like to pretend they're more intelligent. Then we see some of the rules they write, and we're like, nope, that wasn't the case. That was wrong.
And I had no clue adults would be this stupid. That's one of the things that I've always, grown up and latched onto.
Let's talk about rumors and why not. Now
It's what the people are waiting for.
It's what everybody's sort of tuning in. Let's talk about a rumor that's not a rumor, shall we? Let's talk about Maya Yoshida at an LA Kings game, who was with Yuya Osaka, I believe, is Osako at the LA Kings game. Now, Osako had 22 goals and 8 assists in 34 games and was named the MVP of the Japanese league. Now, I did inquire as to Osako's reason for chilling with Maya. One is, these aren't AEG seats because look how far away from the glass they are. And they're not, and it doesn't seem like they're in a suite, right? So if you're not in the suite and you're not on the glass, then did Maya buy these tickets himself? And if Maya
it seems like he would. It seems like he's enjoying the LA experience, and kind of being it. So it would not shock me if he went and paid box office if he walked up to the ticket counter and got a couple tickets. He's like, by the way, I know AEG owns the Kings, but I'm going to go right on my own.
Yeah, I know. I like it. I mean, Maya, by the way, if Maya did pay for his own tickets, shame on AEG. Make sure that guy has a season pass. He gets to go whenever he wants. He +1. He gets a +1 too, right? But Maya, remember, was over in England doing some training, that type of thing. Back in LA, I've been told that Osako is a good friend, as you would imagine he would be. And at 33 years old, maybe. I mean, listen, I'll tell you right now, if the LA Galaxy said, hey, we're going to sign a striker, it's Osako. He has 22 goals and 8 assists in 34 games and was the MVP of the Japanese. I'd be like, yep, sign him.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad at that either. I feel like those are the types of, when you talk about smart, shrewd signings, those are the types of guys you want to get. Right. Maybe not your top, leagues, but go who's the leading scorer in the J League. Yeah, that seems like someone who could probably, cut it in MLS. So yeah, I wouldn't be upset at that. It seems like, that's not the case, that it's not necessarily a recruiting trip. But if anyone's upset about this, someone who was the leading scorer of their league, possibly coming to the Galaxy, I would be happy to sign a player like that. Now, when you get into, is this going to be a DP and things like that, that's a different conversation altogether. But again, I wouldn't be upset of it, even though it does seem like it's a fake rumor.
I mean, I'd give him Tam, right? Isn't that the line?
Yeah.
I'd give him Tam. I don't want to pay. I don't pay anybody a DP, but I'll give him Tam. Yeah. So,
but leading scorer, I mean, maybe you do have to shell out a DP. Although the way things are going right now, the Dodgers could sign both Osako and Yoshida with their Japanese players that they're signing. So we got to be careful that the Dodgers don't poach these Galaxy players away.
Can we make this a new thing though? Can like signing players move from the Laker games? That's that while I love the Lakers, sometimes can feel a little pretentious being courtside and like, remember Caleb Porter and Chris Klein?
That's the magic of it, though.
The whole deal. But no, I would rather they ice it up, man, get up on the boards. And that's where you see these deals getting done, back behind the goalie in the crease, right? Those guys, you have Maya and Osako being like, we're going to just run it up this year. Come join me in LA. I'm told they're good friends. They know each other, and that Osako is vacationing in Los Angeles and wanted to spend some time with Maya, which is awesome too, because just understand how well respected Maya Yoshida is across any team he goes to. Just understand. I'm sure he go to any country and he has friends there, wherever he goes. So Maya seems like a good one. So that's not a rumor, which is one we don't have to talk about. So let's not worry about that one. Although LA Galaxy Outsider was like, friends who don't follow each other on Instagram. Come on, Goose.
The Outsider's in. The Outsider knows what's happening.
I know. So anyway, so that's a fun one. Now,
well, I do have one more last thing on this point here.
Yes.
There's a hierarchy to this. If it's a DP signing, it's Lakers floor seats.
Oh, okay.
If it's a TAM deal, then
Kings.
You're at the LA Kings. Yeah. So I kind of like how this is going, how this might play out.
Yeah. So basically it was who was it? John Nelson. It was John Nelson signed at the interleague like indoor soccer team from the from the Central Valley
Empire. Yeah.
The Inland Empire
with the Strikers.
Yeah. That's where he was seen going by. I'm sorry, John. That was below the belt, but I enjoyed it. Way too much. So anyway, so that one's not a rumor. Now let's talk about something that is a rumor. Cesar Luis Merlo reported that the LA Galaxy were interested in and made an offer for, let's get this right, Pablo Solari. He's a River Plate right winger. River apparently asking for close to $15 to $20 million. That's sort of where it stands. The Galaxy offering about 10. Listen, chill out. Okay. Everybody's like, oh, you good. There's people actually out there going to be like, yeah, the Galaxy are never going to get them because they're just not going to offer enough money. Could be. Absolutely could be. There's a reason that Solari and then where we also had Sosa as well, play similar positions and have offered about the same amount of money. Bottom line is that Solari and River know that Sosa and his team are that they're interested in both of them. Everybody knows what's going on. This is all being played out in the public for a reason. The reason it gets to the public a lot of times is to play these negotiations out in public. I can tell you from COG reporting, the LA Galaxy are absolutely interested in Solari. This could be a young designated player contract. This could also look to break records in terms of where it's at. But he's 22 years old. I think he turns 23 in March, right? So he'll be 23 here pretty soon. That's a young designated player.
Checks that box.
Yeah, he does. I was sort of thinking maybe depending on his salary, he might be U22, but I think the Galaxy may actually be working away from U22s. But let's see. The young designated player thing makes me think they're going to have 3 U22s again, right? And so that type of thing. But there's a way to move Joveljic off and basically have 1 U22, right, which would be Aude, and then come back and sort of figure out how you can work in, 2 senior designated players or restricted designated players in there as well. So it was funny whenever I was looking at like similar players and that type of thing. They mentioned Boanga was a similar player to Solari. Some really good stats. A young guy, if you take him on, he's going to blow right by you. He's got a lot of speed. 5 goals, 8 assists. He likes to play sort of on that right side, but can also play on the left side. This is an attacking guy. I mean, there's some numbers that you don't love, right? Which is your passes attempt, so not a big passer. His pass completion is pretty poor, right? His progressive passes, so sort of moving the game along. But basically what that means is when the ball gets to him, he's going to either cross it or he's going to take a shot, right? And when you look at his non-penalty goals at 0.44 per 90, when compared to similar midfielders, he's in the 95th percentile. When you look at his non-penalty expected goals, he's in the 88th percentile. When you're looking at his shots total per 90 at almost 3, he's in the 84th percentile. His assists of 0.5 per 90 is in the 98th percentile. His expected goals, expected assisted goals at 0.27 is in the 82nd percentile. You're talking about a guy who is in, for the most part, the upper echelons of the percentiles for guys compared to him.
Yeah.
That's important. And when you're looking at what the LA Galaxy have targeted, both with Sosa and Solari, they're similar in play. Now, I did ask the question, And like I said, I can confirm the LA Galaxy are interested in Solari. I can confirm the LA Galaxy were at least interested at the time in Sosa. Don't know the status of either of those as it goes, because we've heard, at least out in the public, that offers have been rejected and that, they want $20 million, or, for Sosa they want 15, those types of things. So these are going to get played off each other. I did ask, could you end up with both of them, right? Could the LA Galaxy end up with both of these? And the answer I got was they absolutely could play together. Right, they absolutely fit together, and wow, wouldn't that be fun to watch them whip crosses into Joveljic all day long? Right, get Miguel Berry out there in his 6'3", banging headers in, right, doing the whole thing.
We're making Miguel Berry a thing? Is he the new Alan Gordon?
Why not? Why not? We have nothing better to do. So they're absolutely, now the likelihood of that is very small. One, because of cost. Two, because of negotiations. These are not going to be easy negotiations. So expect this to drag out. Expect this to be a little longer. By the way, I expect to hear a third name pop up there in there as well.
That's what I'm waiting for. I'm a fan of both the Sosa and the Solari rumors. It seems like right now the Solari rumors are the ones that have a little bit more legs. I saw it in the chat, with Logan Jones put it in there as a similar player to Pavone. When I saw the highlight reel, it reminded me a lot of Christian Pavone. So I think, where did he come from? He came from Boca, whereas Solari coming from River Plate. So when you talk about playing on the biggest stages in Argentina, those are the two biggest stages right there. So while I liked what Sosa brought to the table, Solari, I feel like I like what he brings even more. And then the fact that he's able to check that U22 box, I think that is something.
Or young designated player.
Yeah, or young designated player. Right. You get what I'm I'm going with this.
Right.
The fact that he's able to kind of squeeze into that perhaps gives the Galaxy flexibility with other contracts. I feel like it's a logical fit. I really like where they're going. The one thing that you mentioned, think about them whipping in balls to Joveljic. I did want to see some type of big striker come in here. So the fact that it seems like they are going to be riding with Joveljic.
Miguel Berry.
Yeah.
He's big. He's 6'3". I don't know what else do you want? You want a taller one than that? I mean, Zlatan was pretty tall, but 6'3" works, right?
Yeah, so that's the part that makes me nervous. It's kind of like, with Chicharito going into 2023, was I upset about it? No, but did it make me feel a little bit uneasy? I didn't feel great about it. That's kind of how I feel about Joveljic. I like Joveljic. I think he can bring quite a bit, but at the same time, it's not a guarantee. It does make me a little bit uneasy if he is going to be able to figure things out and start putting the ball in the back of the net. So that's the thing that makes me a little bit nervous, but with that flexibility, if things don't work out with the U22, young designated player, then maybe Joveljic in the summer, and that is the time where with Copa America ending in the summer, the Euros ending in the summer, maybe that's the time to get your jersey seller, your Lewandowski, your Guesman. Maybe that's the time where maybe Joveljic, find a different landing spot for him, and then that's the time that you bring in that designated player. So it's going to be interesting to see what are the names that are going to be thrown around here, depending on how this plays out with Solari. And if you only see one big designated player kind of come in, then maybe they are going to be waiting for the summer and seeing what else happens. So that's going to be the curious move of what happens next.
Yeah, I'm still at least hearing that you're still looking at two wingers, and then they're going to look to do other things with striker. They want Joveljic to be their guy, and that's good. Listen, I'm
okay with that too if that's the plan.
It could be a fatal mistake. I mean, it could be the one that really hurts you, right? Yeah. Now there is another rumor that we haven't really had a chance to vet yet. And I'll work on it. Alex Ruiz was reporting basically that it's New Guy York was the Twitter name. Basically, the LA Galaxy are interested in forward Romel Kyoto. Now, Kyoto is a well-known MLS player over the years, and so it shouldn't be surprised if you've heard his name before or if you haven't heard his name before.
You've seen him score on the LA Galaxy.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah. A real speedy sort of guy. Now, he got injured last year, had a muscle tear, and so only played 13 games, 10 games started, had 3 goals and 1 assist, but his last full season was 15 goals, 6 assists for Montreal in 2022 in 30 games played. That rumor is at least out there. I don't know whether or not that's true. He is 32 years old, but there's a balance to everything. There's absolutely, as a backup to Joveljic, if you can slide him in and slot that in, that starts to be a real smart move. You start to feel good about striker and Miguel Berry in there, right? Too, because you're gonna name him.
Yeah, I was going to say, this makes me feel a little bit better than Miguel Berry. But again, with so new, so hot off the presses, I don't know how much heat there is to it. But this feels, there's a lot of Billy Sharp, chat going on in the chat.
right.
This feels like a Billy Sharp coming off the bench. You could start him. He's going to get you goals. It's just a matter of, can you rely on him for a full season? Probably not, but he is someone that you want on your team and has a knack for putting the ball in the back of the net. I would love to have Kyoto. Not Kyoto.
Yeah.
Romel Quito on your team. Whatever. Cutie. He's a cutie.
Qdoba, which is the knockoff Chipotle, which also started in Colorado, which was weird, right? You got both of the Chipotle and Qdoba both started, but they were like, one was a knockoff of the other one. I don't know. It's just weird. Anyway,
Colorado.
I don't even
get your best Mexican food.
This rumor came out like just about an hour before we got to go, so I got to ask about it, but I didn't get any responses or answers, and so I can't tell you. And it could be fake by now. I can't tell you, right? It's one of those. Let's see. That's one of those things that you have to watch, right? So, but understand that I think you're still going to get a chance to add some guys. Now, you were talking about, hey, what happens? Let's say I really feel like the Galaxy are going to go after two wingers at the designated player spot. I feel like they're going to go after them early, and that they're both going to be with the team because everybody. You look at those first, 8-9 games, and you're like, oh, okay, you're gonna need to have something ready to go in order to be. Otherwise, you're going to be, down the bottom of the Western Conference already because you lost, 7 of your first 9 games, right? Very realistic. I mean, this is I think everybody learned this last year. You can no longer wait on the season. You can no longer wait. Yeah. You have to be good. You have to be ready to play when it starts. And I think that Greg Vanney was adamant about that. I think Will Kuntz is in that similar vein. What I do think you could see for the summer, though, is sort of getting that TAM level player that comes in and could be like your striker kind of guy that backs things up if Joveljic doesn't work out.
My counterpoint to that is that you did see with the amount of playoff spots and how poorly the stretch was, that there was still an opportunity to make a run. So while I think it is a preference and they do want everyone in, right, I think that there was shown throughout the league that if you could bring in the right pieces, you can absolutely make a run late and kind of be dangerous towards the end of the season. So I think there's a pathway for that also.
There is. I think you have to get better in the summer. I think that's when you get better, right? Like you have to, you don't get to do nothing, but you have to do something in that. By the way, Mr. Provino, by the way, says Barstow started Del Taco and Taco Bell. So I guess, the fake Mexican food craze just gets started in those white neighborhoods and then rocks and
Taco
rolls, right?
Bell. Taco Bell is also a ripoff of itself. So that's one of those. There's a whole history behind that too.
Wow. We could do a whole nother podcast just on food, I'm sure. Anyway, so that was the things. Those are the rumors that are sort of out there. Now, I saw that Hugo Lloris was linked with LAFC. There is one report that links him with the LA Galaxy right now. I'm considering that a
mistake, a
typo. Mistake, yes, a typo and all that fun. So I wouldn't expect that. So those are sort of the ones that I think are out there right now. By the way, I would put the Solari rumors right up there with 4 stars with Sosa until we hear further, that one has dropped out or one is preferred over the other, or whether or not both of those can happen or they both die. Bottom line is there's real interest.
Not the players, the rumors.
Yeah, the rumors. Yeah, correct. Yeah, we like the players. We don't want anybody to die. But those are the things. So those are real rumors, right? So you have Yamane and then you have Solari and you have Sosa, I think, and those are your 3 top big rumors right now.
I was going to say Yamane is one we didn't have a discussion on, but it seems like that is probably going to be the next name that you see flashing on the LA Galaxy social media.
It has gone super quiet, and that's probably because it's done. That's what I'm guessing right now.
They're taking pictures right now.
Exactly.
So that's what you're saying.
Yeah. There was. I had heard that there were advanced talks in that anyway, and so unless things totally fell apart, which is possible, absolutely. I feel like that's might be the first one over the line. Remember, transfer window doesn't open until the end of January, I believe. So technically speaking, the window's not open. That doesn't mean you can't sign people. It just means you can't register them with the team, and that's fine because they don't need to be registered with the team until really, you start having to play games, right?
The day before, the opening weekend, probably February 23rd.
Exactly. So that type of thing. So that's where it is. Now, the last thing that I wanted to talk about before we left was Herculez Gomez got everybody all fired up, which he normally does, and I fully endorse this particular fire up. Herculez went on Twitter and said, "What if I were to tell you the general manager of LA Galaxy, Dennis DeClosa, tried to bring in Santi Jimenez on a U22 DP deal and was told by the brass, in quotation marks, that Santi wasn't good enough. and he says, don't miss tomorrow's Vamos pod if you're a Galaxy or Mexican national team fan. They actually saw, I saw a clip of that today, and I didn't get a chance to read the whole thing, but here's how it played out. Dennis Kloese said that the Galaxy were looking at Cabecita Rodriguez for a DP slot from Cruz Azul, and Cruz Azul had been playing at StubHub Center, Dignity Health Sports Park, same thing. And so they were sort of looking at that, and possibly looking at Rodriguez for that DP slot. And so it's like, okay, cool, maybe they'll do it. Well, then in 2021, MLS initiated the U22 rule. And at U22, whenever it opened up, Dennis Kloese suggested bringing in Santi Jimenez, right? And he was like, hey, you might want to get this kid. He's really good, right? And basically he was told by the LA Galaxy brass, in quotation marks, that Santi wasn't good enough, right? And so there was the whole deal. He said he wouldn't divulge who said that, right? And Hercules Gomez was, wait, are you kidding me? Right? The whole deal.
I believe Hercules' quote was, "I just about fell out of my chair."
Right.
But from conversations that we've had with Dennis and things that Dennis has shared, people were, the way Hercules phrased the question, "Would you believe?" And having a conversation with Dennis, I'm like, yes, I could absolutely believe that was the case. Santi Jimenez. I mean, you look at what Dennis was able to accomplish with Feyenoord without, wacky MLS rules and without someone, handcuffing him. I think the proof is in the pudding that he probably, had an eye for talent and was able to get, the right people in the right situation. So, I know DTK sometimes gets thrown under the bus for the sanctions and for things like that. But
rightfully, he should be thrown on. But this is probably 100% true.
But that's more about the rules, not about. I mean, you look at the player that he brought in. What was the reason for that? It was because of the issues with Pavone.
Yeah.
I don't think you could say Pavone was the problem. Pavone was a great player for the Galaxy. We're trying to sign Pablo Solari, who's basically the new Pavone. So I think DTK is going to come out on top here. He does. You're to your point. You're right. Rightfully so. There are some things that he deserves to have his kind of hand slapped for. But I think for anyone who's had conversations with him and heard him talk about his time with the LA Galaxy, I don't think we were surprised by this revelation.
Well, also remember the press release basically tried to blame him without naming him in all their stuff as well. So found that really interesting as well. Here's the thing. So what happened later? Well, Dennis Kloese went off to Feyenoord, right? And we know that he did that. So Dennis said that whenever he got to Feyenoord, he said, so we decided to bring Santi over to Feyenoord. Yeah. and by the way, he takes
how did that work out?
He takes a really good dig at everybody, and it's kind of under his breath almost. If you hear it, he goes, so we decided to bring to the Eredivisie. He goes, a much worse league than Major League Soccer, right? Where the talent level isn't as high, basically the whole deal. And so they bought him for $6 million whenever they bought him. So Feyenoord under Dennis Kloese went out and bought Santi. They got him for $6 million. His current value is $50 million on transfer market.
They're going to get a lot of money for him.
And Arsenal apparently is interested in him. Just to remind you where all this stuff, fun dysfunction came from, right? By the way, we love to make you feel good. We love to make you feel bad. It's one of those things. This is all part of the whole thing.
This is the LA Galaxy fan experience.
The least surprising thing ever was that story from Dennis Kloese and Hercules Gomez. It was sort of like, would you believe it? Remember, it's like, yeah, of course we would.
Yes, we would.
We've lived it. Yeah, I'm sorry.
No one was shocked. Yeah.
Have we not been saying that? I feel like we've been saying that, right? Like the whole deal. So anyway. It's pretty funny. By the way, they're people's like guess the executive who said it. Like the whole day. Listen, it does. I'll be honest with you. It didn't matter at the time. Trust me, because there were plenty of people, I'm sure, who were ready to jump up and down and said the dentist was wrong. That sort of seems like how it is. By the way, we didn't get to prep this at all. Do you have your nameplate?
I do.
Okay.
I do. I anticipated this would be a thing. I know you mentioned that you got your Farai Mutatu nameplate, so I figured it was only fair.
Yes.
That I bring out my prized possession from one of the sales. I believe I've shared this, but I have my João Pedro.
Not only João
nameplate,
Pedro. 88.
The number 88 with the last name. So again, something for everybody. These are our holy grails. This is what it's all about. Shout out to, I believe it was Thomas who got this for me.
Yeah.
Good friend and listener. And so again, whenever you can get the João nameplate with the 88.
Yeah.
These are good times. These are the what we do it for. Chicharito's, Latan, the big names. That does nothing for us. Give me Farai Mutatu, your João Pedro. Like these are the ones that are going to make us happy.
Can anybody reach out to Charlie Rugg and see if he still has a nameplate, and can I have that one? Because I want it. That is my cross to bear right there. But Farai Mutatu, the number 29 nameplate, the player that was never but almost.
Yeah.
That's basically that's the
Never,
story
but
on all that.
And
Never.
he looked
but
great in
almost.
the preseason. That's the crazy thing too.
What
He had
could have been?
goals.
What
He
could
was
have
the
been?
only one on the score sheet. He could have been our Miguel Berry.
Rookie of the year. By the way, didn't get too far away from it, but executive producer Herb gave us a $32.10 super chat. Certainly appreciate it. It says, "Hey Josh, happy New Year. Just stopping by to welcome back the Hammer. Any updates on a live show?" Yes. You have to wait. I know that's mean, but we're working out some things. By the way, Hammer, with the nice gear as well. Yeah, I know.
Thank you very much.
Somebody said they were watching a show from last year about this
Yeah,
time,
I
and you
saw
were
that at
wearing
the
the same
beginning.
one.
And they were confused. I was going to say, one thing about me, it's I'm predictable. You're going to know
Right.
what you're getting from me. But to that point, in terms of gear, I did hear we're in rumor talk right now, so I did hear there are some rumors in terms of Galaxy collabs that are coming up this season. I recently got my LA Galaxy Menace collab jacket that was a whole
365
ordeal
days.
that took some months and I don't blame the LA Galaxy. I think when you work with a boutique like that, it's not a big box. They're manufacturing the clothes themselves. They're sewing it themselves. I had someone who shared they got a jacket with one of the arms sewn shut. That's a little bit of an issue when that happens. Again, the jacket was still cool. The thing behind it, the capsule collection was cool. I don't blame the Galaxy for it, but there were just some issues with how that rolled out. I have heard that there are going to be some capsule collections similar to that vein. Maybe not Menace again, but maybe some other brands that they're going to be working for. So keep your eye out. If you liked the Menace collab, the Galaxy is working hard. There are things coming down the pipeline. So start saving those dollars, keeping an eye out for a lot of these collaborations that are coming down the line.
DeMonte, by the way, reminds me, and I was going to talk about it. I forgot to even write it in my thing, but there is a rumor that the LA Galaxy will be getting a third kit this year as well.
And again, I've also heard rumblings that that's probably going to be something, if you like the Menace jacket, that you might like the third kit as well.
Oh, man. They just... Listen, I'm just going to say, it's the end of the tax year. And so, make sure you plan appropriately for 2024 and everything you do. I'll be honest. I'm hyped about this season. I really feel like there's going to be some good things that can always change. Obviously, this is soccer. It's sports. People get injured. Things happen. But it feels like if you're around the people, if you're around the front office, if you're talking to the people, there's some real momentum. It feels like moving in the forward direction. Yeah,
genuine excitement. Yeah.
I think nobody deserves it more than Galaxy fans at this point, right? I mean, I know, 5-time MLS Cup champion, one of the most storied franchise in MLS history, has fallen on tough times, right? I mean, I talk about it all the time. Oh, in 2014, I had a chance to go to the White House to see the LA Galaxy whenever they got honored by then President Obama, right? The whole deal, and I was like, they'll go again. It's not a big deal. What am I doing? Right. So now the only goal in my life really is for the LA Galaxy once again to win something so I can go to the White House.
So you can go to fair enough.
It's going to be my only shot. Right. So we'll see how it goes. But we have some fun things planned. All right. There's some fun things coming up. And I just want to remind everybody there's fun things coming up. So as soon as we can announce those, we will. Some of it probably has to do with Coachella and then we have some other things as well. So keep your mind open and ready to go when we say go. All right. And certainly I appreciate everybody listening this year. 2023 was great. Tough year for the LA Galaxy. Really interesting year. I don't think I've ever seen a team that good be that bad, which is a new one because I've seen some really bad teams.
Yes.
Right?
That's the funny thing about this past year. We kept waiting for them to figure it out and to not be as bad as they look, because we know they weren't that bad,
right?
And then they ended up being that bad.
But but they were good for a second, and you were like, "That's it. That's what
I see. It. It's in there.
It's there. We knew it the whole time. It was there." And it's like,
and then it just, right through the fingers.
Right? Yeah, exactly. I got it. I know I don't got it. So, really fun, interesting year. Very busy year for me, both with podcasts and everything else that was going on. I imagine 2024 is going to be as busy or busier than that. So I'm looking forward to all of it. And I certainly hope everybody has a safe and happy New Year's. No show on Monday again, probably a show on Thursday. We'll pick it up. And then I hate to break it to everybody, but we're probably back to 2 shows a week again because it is now time once again for the LA Galaxy to start playing the soccer ball. That's what I heard.
We are so back.
We're so back, baby. By the way, $5 super chat from Tim says, thank you for a great year, 2023. Josh and everyone that joined you this year. Looking forward to a healthy 2024 for this team. Go G's. Love the show. Thank you, Tim. We love you. Gary, $5 super chat. Thank you for your tireless work in 2023. Here is to 2024 and many, many more. To everyone, have a a happy year. Be safe and take care. All right. And by the way, Gary, you're awesome because that's your 10th super chat on our
Gary.
live stream. Gary, you
Tim as well.
Everybody be more like Gary and Tim. That's what I'm going to say. And quite honestly, we need more executive producers, right? So if you want to, aspire to be executive producer Herb, you too can do that. All it takes is
Gary
money.
would 10. Gary's in the mix.
Gary could. Gary's
always
could.
in the chat. Big shout out to Gary.
Gary, thank you. We appreciate it. Tim, you too. We appreciate you as well. So that's where we think. By the way, before we get, do you think Puig will stay a little longer than this upcoming season, or let me be very, very clear to everybody because I've tried to be very, very clear to everybody. Ricky Puig will be making close to $3 million this year, I think is what it's going to top out, which is a significant increase from whenever he started, right? So he's making the money that he's probably deserved to be making. He's happy. He likes LA. I don't see him going anywhere unless he suddenly learns how to play defense, and then everybody will want him. Okay? As long as he continues to not play defense, he will sort of, it's going to be that. You get what you get. All right, you get what you get, and you don't complain.
I will push back. I've watched other games and other leagues and other teams play. His quality is not off from Europe, so I would not be shocked to see him make a move back to Europe. It was kind of interesting what Billy Sharp said in that podcast interview, where he was like, "Why would someone come from Barcelona?" I think we know that probably wasn't Ricky's choice, but then you see the lifestyle and everything. To your point, Ricky does like it here. I think he is going to be here. Definitely for the length of this season, and then depending on how he plays, maybe offers do come rolling in.
Right.
But it's just the way I will pump the brakes. I always say, well, he doesn't play defense. Well, look at all the other things that he does. What does that say about the rest of our team? If he's the guy who we're pointing out flaws and pointing out, I mean,
but nobody else in Europe wanted him. Nobody else. That is interesting. That is the curious thing. Yeah. I mean, there was sort of one of those things where you sat there and they said, oh, he's a party boy and all that stuff. Something that we have not seen at all in Los Angeles, where he's like, he hasn't been dedicated, he hasn't tried, I mean, that kid bled and died for the LA Galaxy on a regular basis, trying to lift the whole team up. So it's not something we saw. So maybe this is, maybe it's just a bad reputation that he got for no reason, and now we're seeing that it was unfounded, and maybe that'll be more interest. But I'll tell you right now, Ricky Puig, he wants to be here. If God willing, we ever get him on the podcast, whenever he wants us to speak some English. All right, which by the way, he speaks wonderful, beautiful English, better than Eric or I.
Yeah,
so
100%.
So he absolutely could do it. So, it's one of those. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, that's it. So
shout out to Ricky. MVP season incoming, loading right now.
Here, yeah, little beach ball, shout out to Apple. Are we doing that now? Shout out to Microsoft. Shout out to Apple. I don't know. This thing's going off the.
This is the year end. Yeah, this is where you air all your grievances and just start shouting everything out.
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't know anything. All right, I think that does it. Eric, anything else from you?
No, I think we're good. Shout out to the chat for coming in hard today and really kind of, ending the year on a strong note. Shout out to you, Josh, for all your coverage and everything you've done. It's been, an exciting year, even though the Galaxy season wasn't fantastic. And I'm very much looking forward to 2024 and kind of seeing where that will go. All the, possible exciting upcoming things, some conferences we have coming up, some, being in Southern California at the Digs. I'm excited for that. So very much looking forward to 2024. In the words of Vin Scully, hope springs eternal. We're in that honeymoon stage right now where everything looks very bright ahead of us.
It's the best. It's the best. All right. Very good. All right. Eric, tell people where they can find you. Let's go.
All right. As always, you can find me on everything at HammerEV9. That's X or Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I have not been on Threads in a very long time, but technically I'm on there. So that's at HammerEV9, Hammer EV and the number 9.
All right. If you're looking for me on wherever, at Jay Guesman, at Galaxy Podcast, go on over to cornerofthegalaxy.com. Head on over to Facebook or any of those places, all Galaxy Podcasts, Instagram, Galaxy Podcast, that fun stuff. You can find us right there, all right? I think that about does it for us tonight. The LA Galaxy getting ready to kick off their 2024 after this new year comes upon us. Everybody have a safe, happy holiday. We'll be back next Thursday to get you caught up with all the stuff we missed in between. Everybody, Happy New Year. Enjoy yourself. Be safe. We can't wait to see you again in 2024. For Eric, Portuguese Hammer Vieira, I'm Josh Pato Guesman. You've been listening. You've been watching to our little Corner of the Galaxy. Have a great one, everybody.
You've been listening to the Corner of the Galaxy podcast on cornerofthegalaxy.com. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Galaxy Podcast. And be sure to check out and subscribe to iTunes, Stitcher, and Facebook by searching for Corner of the Galaxy. Fans, we thank you for listening, and we ask that you be kind and courteous to your neighbors as you leave the podcast. We thank you for joining us and look forward to seeing you again. Until then, I'm Michael Araujo, and on behalf of the entire Corner of the Galaxy crew, goodbye, everybody.